Welcome to a video that will shake you to your core. You've been told that fruits are nature's candy, healthy, wholesome, and good for your body. But what if some of these so-called healthy fruits are hiding a dark demonic secret? Today, we expose 7 fruits you must stop eating now because they're tainted with spiritual deception. The Bible warns us in 2 Corinthians 11:14 that Satan masquerades as an angel of light, and these fruits are part of his cunning plan to lead you astray. We're not here to play games. We're here to expose the truth, backed by scripture, history, and undeniable evidence. So, buckle up as we dive into this spiritual minefield and reveal why these fruits are anything but innocent. Let's get started with the first fruit on our list. Number 7. Apples. They're everywhere, on your kitchen counter, in your kid's lunchbox, even in the classic American pie. You've probably heard that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But what if it's also keeping you away from God's truth? Apples have a long history of being tied to deception, and we're not just talking about their shiny red appearance. Let's dig into why this fruit is a spiritual red flag. The biggest issue with apples starts in the Garden of Eden. Genesis 3:6 tells us, "When the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and ate it." While the Bible doesn't name the fruit, centuries of tradition have pointed to the apple as the forbidden fruit that led to humanity's fall. This association alone should make you pause. Why would you want to eat a fruit tied to the original sin that separated us from God? But it doesn't stop there. Apples have been co-opted by modern occult practices. From fairy tales like Snow White, where a poisoned apple brings a curse, to pagan rituals that use apples in divination, this fruit has a dark undercurrent. Witches and New Age practitioners often place apples on altars, claiming they symbolize hidden knowledge. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? That's the same lie Satan fed Eve. Eat this, and you'll be like God. The Bible is clear in Deuteronomy 18:10-12 that such practices are detestable to the Lord. Even in today's world, apples are plastered on products and brands that promote pride and rebellion. Think about it. Major tech companies use the apple as a logo, often with a bite taken out, echoing the fall of man. This isn't a coincidence. It's a deliberate nod to defying God's order. When you eat an apple, are you unknowingly participating in a culture that glorifies sin? The evidence is hard to ignore. Now, you might say, it's just a fruit. But first, Thessalonians 5:22 warns us to abstain from all appearance of evil. Apples may look innocent, but their spiritual baggage is heavy. Next time you reach for one, ask yourself, is this worth the risk to my soul? Number 6. Pomegranates. This ruby red fruit is hailed as a superfood, packed with antioxidants and plastered all over health blogs. But don't be fooled by its vibrant seeds. Pomegranates are steeped in paganism and false worship, making them a fruit you need to ditch immediately. Pomegranates have deep roots in ancient cultures, but not the godly ones. In Mesopotamia and Greece, they were sacred to fertility goddesses like Ishtar and Persephone. These cults used pomegranates in rituals to invoke sensuality and power, practices that God explicitly condemns in Exodus 20:3-5. "You shall have no other gods before me, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God." Why would you consume a fruit tied to idol worship? The fruit's symbolism doesn't get any better in other traditions. In some Eastern religions, pomegranates represent abundance tied to material wealth, not spiritual fruitfulness. This clashes with Matthew 6:24, where Jesus warns, "You cannot serve both God and money." Eating pomegranates might seem harmless, but it's subtly aligning you with values that oppose biblical truth. Even in Jewish history, pomegranates adorned the priestly garments. Exodus 28:33-34. But today, their meaning has been twisted. New Age movements use them in meditation rituals, claiming they unlock spiritual energy. This is the same deception Paul warned about in 1 Timothy 4:1, where people fall for deceiving spirits and things taught by demons. The pomegranate's beauty hides a dangerous lie. So, the next time you're tempted to toss pomegranate seeds into your smoothie, think twice. This fruit's pagan roots and modern misuse make it a spiritual hazard. Toss it out and choose foods that honor God instead. Number 5, grapes. These juicy little fruits are a staple in everything from wine to fruit salads, and they're often praised for their heart-healthy benefits. But don't let their sweet taste fool you. Grapes have a dark side that makes them a fruit you need to avoid at all costs. The Bible mentions grapes in both positive and negative contexts, but their association with excess and pagan rituals puts them on our list of spiritually tainted foods. Grapes are deeply tied to wine, and while the Bible permits moderate wine consumption, it strongly condemns drunkenness. Ephesians 5:18 warns, "Do not get drunk on wine, which leads to debauchery. Instead, be filled with the Spirit." In ancient cultures, grapes were central to the worship of Bacchus, the Roman god of wine and revelry. His festivals were marked by orgies and excess, behaviors that fly in the face of God's call for self-control in Galatians 5:22-23. When you eat grapes, are you unknowingly endorsing a culture of indulgence? The problem goes deeper. In the Bible, grapes sometimes symbolize God's judgment. Deuteronomy 32:32-33 describes the wicked as producing grapes of poison and bitter wine. This imagery connects grapes to rebellion against God. Even today, the wine industry often glamorizes hedonism, with marketing that promotes pleasure over piety. By consuming grapes, you might be aligning yourself with a worldly mindset that prioritizes fleeting pleasures over eternal truth. Modern grape production also raises red flags. Many vineyards exploit workers and prioritize profit over ethics, echoing James 5:4. The wages you failed to pay, the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you. Eating grapes can indirectly support systems that defy God's justice. Plus, some New Age groups use grape juice in cleansing rituals, claiming it purifies the soul, a practice that mimics biblical communion but lacks its true meaning. This is the kind of deception Jesus warned about in Matthew 24:24, where false teachings lead people astray. Grapes might seem innocent, but their ties to excess, judgment, and exploitation make them a spiritual liability. Next time you're at the grocery store, skip the grape aisle and choose a fruit that doesn't carry this heavy baggage. Number 4, figs. These soft, sweet fruits are often touted as a healthy snack, packed with fiber and nutrients. They even appear in the Bible, so they must be safe, right? Wrong. Figs have a hidden spiritual danger that makes them unfit for any Christian's plate. From their role in the Garden of Eden to their modern misuse, figs are a fruit you need to throw out now. Let's start with the Bible. In Genesis 3:7, after Adam and Eve sinned, they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. Figs are directly linked to the first act of human shame and deception. Instead of repenting, Adam and Eve used fig leaves to hide their sin, a futile attempt to cover what only God could forgive. This makes figs a symbol of self-reliance and rebellion against God's grace. Why would you eat a fruit tied to such a pivotal moment of disobedience? Jesus himself had something to say about figs. In Matthew 21:19, he cursed a fig tree that bore no fruit, saying, "May you never bear fruit again." The tree withered immediately. This wasn't just about a tree, it was a warning against spiritual barrenness and hypocrisy. Figs, in this context, represent false appearances, promising sweetness but delivering nothing of value. 2 Timothy 3-5 warns against those who have a form of godliness but deny its power. Figs embody this deception. Historically, figs were used in pagan rituals. Ancient Egyptians associated them with fertility gods, and some Mediterranean cultures offered figs to idols, practices condemned in 1 Corinthians 10:14. Flee from idolatry. Even today, figs are romanticized in wellness culture, often tied to sensuality and materialism. Food blogs and influencers praise figs as luxurious, subtly promoting a lifestyle of indulgence that clashes with the humility Jesus modeled in Philippians 2:8. Then there's the modern fig industry. Like grapes, fig farming often involves exploitation, with workers in some regions paid unfair wages. Eating figs can make you complicit in systems that prioritize profit over people, contrary to God's command to love your neighbor as yourself, Mark 12:31. The evidence is clear. Figs are not the innocent fruit they seem to be. Their biblical, historical, and modern associations make them a spiritual trap. Toss them out and choose foods that align with God's truth. Number 3. Dates. These sticky, sweet fruits are a staple in Middle Eastern cuisine and are often marketed as a natural sweetener packed with nutrients. You'll find them in energy bars, smoothies, and even health food stores, praised for their supposed benefits. But don't be deceived. Dates carry a spiritual weight that makes them a fruit you must avoid. Their deep ties to non-Christian traditions and their misuse in modern context reveal a dangerous underside. Dates have a long history in cultures that predate Christianity, often linked to practices that clash with biblical truth. In ancient Mesopotamia, dates were offered to pagan deities like Tammuz, a fertility god, whose worship Ezekiel 8:14 condemns as an abomination. These rituals involved feasts and offerings meant to secure prosperity, a stark contrast to God's command in Exodus 23. You shall have no other gods before me. Consuming dates today might seem harmless, but their historical role in idol worship should give any Christian pause. The spiritual danger doesn't end with ancient history. In some modern religious traditions, dates are central to festivals and rituals that don't align with Christianity. For example, they're often used to break fasts in non-Christian faiths, symbolizing spiritual renewal outside the truth of Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians 10:20-21 warns, "The sacrifices of pagans are offered to demons, not to God, and I do not want you to be participants with demons." Eating dates can subtly connect you to practices that oppose the gospel. Even in secular contexts, dates are problematic. The modern health food industry promotes them as a superfood, often tying them to wellness movements that emphasize self-reliance over faith in God. This mirrors the deception Paul describes in 2 Timothy 4:3-4, where people turn to teachings that suit their own desires instead of sound doctrine. Dates are also grown in regions where labor exploitation is rampant, with workers facing harsh conditions for meager pay. James 5:4 cries out against such injustice. "The wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you." When you eat a date, you're not just eating a fruit. You're potentially endorsing a legacy of idolatry, compromise, and exploitation. The Bible calls us to be discerning, and dates fail the test. Skip them and choose foods that reflect God's righteousness. Number 2, oranges. Bright, juicy, and packed with vitamin C, oranges are a global favorite, touted as the ultimate health food. From orange juice at breakfast to citrus-scented candles, they're everywhere. But beneath their sunny exterior lies a spiritual danger that makes oranges a fruit you need to ditch immediately. Their ties to prosperity cults and New Age symbolism reveal a deceptive agenda. Oranges are often associated with abundance and good fortune, especially in cultures influenced by Eastern traditions. In some practices, oranges are placed on altars or exchanged during festivals to attract wealth and success. This focus on material gain contradicts Jesus' teaching in Matthew 6:19-20. "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven." Eating oranges might seem innocent, but their symbolic link to worldly prosperity can pull you away from biblical priorities. The modern wellness industry makes things worse. Oranges are a darling of New Age movements, where they're used in cleansing, rituals, or meditations to balance energy. These practices echo the false teachings Paul warned about in Colossians 2:8. See to it that no one takes you captive through hollow and deceptive philosophy. By consuming oranges, you might unknowingly align with a mindset that replaces God's truth with feel-good spirituality. Even the phrase, "orange you glad," has been co-opted by self-help gurus to promote shallow positivity over genuine faith. Then there's the commercial side. The orange industry is often tied to aggressive marketing that glorifies indulgence, from sugary juices to luxury citrus brands. This clashes with the biblical call to self-control in Galatians 5:23. Plus, large-scale orange farming can involve environmental harm and worker exploitation, raising ethical concerns for Christians who are called to steward God's creation. Genesis 2:15. Oranges may look refreshing, but their spiritual and ethical baggage is heavy. The Bible urges us to test everything, warned Thessalonians 5:21, and oranges don't pass. Next time you're tempted to peel one, remember the hidden dangers and choose a fruit that honors God instead. Number 1. Bananas. This bright yellow fruit is a global superstar, found in every grocery store and praised as a quick, healthy snack packed with potassium. From smoothies to breakfast bowls, bananas are everywhere, and their cheerful appearance makes them seem harmless. But don't be fooled, bananas are steeped in spiritual deception and tied to a legacy of greed and exploitation that should make any Christian think twice. Let's peel back the layers and expose why you need to stop eating bananas now. Bananas have a troubling history tied to colonialism and exploitation. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, banana plantations in Central America were built on the backs of oppressed workers, with companies using force and unfair wages to dominate the trade. James 5:4 warns, "The wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you." Eating bananas today can make you complicit in an industry that still struggles with ethical issues, from labor abuses to environmental destruction. As Christians called to love our neighbors, Mark 12:31, supporting such systems is a spiritual misstep. The spiritual concerns go deeper. Bananas are often linked to prosperity teachings that twist biblical truth. In some cultures, they symbolize wealth and fertility. And modern prosperity preachers have used this imagery to push a name it and claim it gospel. This false teaching contradicts Behersteig, 1 Timothy 6:6-10, which warns against the love of money and chasing wealth. When you eat a banana, you might unknowingly align with a mindset that prioritizes material gain over spiritual humility. Even the fruit's shape has been exploited in pop culture to promote sensuality, clashing with the purity God calls us to in 1 Thessalonians 4:3-5. Then there's the modern misuse. New Age influencers promote bananas in detox diets, claiming they align your chakras or boost your vibrational energy. This is the kind of deception Paul warned about in 2 Timothy 4:3-4, where people chase teachings that suit their own desires instead of God's truth. Bananas are also heavily marketed by corporations that glorify indulgence, from sugary banana-flavored products to wasteful packaging, defying the biblical call to stewardship in Genesis 2:15. You might argue, it's just a fruit. But 1 Corinthians 10:31 reminds us, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. Bananas, with their ties to exploitation, false prosperity, and deceptive spirituality, fail this test. Their bright exterior hides a dark agenda. Toss them out and choose foods that reflect God's righteousness and justice. There you have it, 7 healthy fruits that are anything but healthy for your soul. From apples and their ties to the fall of man, to bananas and their legacy of greed, These fruits are laced with spiritual dangers that no Christian can ignore. The Bible is clear in 1 Thessalonians 5:21-22. Test everything. Hold on to the good. Avoid every kind of evil. These fruits might look tempting, but their hidden ties to paganism, deception, and exploitation make them a trap set by the enemy. So, what should you do? First, purge these fruits from your kitchen. Don't let their shiny appearances fool you. Choose foods that honor God and align with His truth. Second, lean on Scripture to discern what's truly good. The Bible is your ultimate guide, sharper than any two-edged sword. Hebrews 4:12. Finally, share this warning with others. The world is full of deception, and your loved ones need to know the truth. If this video opened your eyes, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that exposes the enemy's schemes and points you to biblical truth. Drop a comment below. Let us know which fruit shocked you the most, or how you're committing to live for God's glory. Share this video with your church, your family, and your friends. Together, we can stand firm against deception and hold fast to the unchanging Word of God. Stay vigilant, stay in the Word, and we'll see you in the next video.